Are you struggling to lower your bad LDL cholesterol, even though you may be taking a statin, swapping steaks for salads, and exercising while listening to this podcast? Ask your doctor if Repatha Evolocumab is right for you. With Repatha, you can dramatically reduce bad cholesterol and the risk of another heart attack while enjoying life too, because you're human. And with convenient self-administration, you can take Repatha in the comfort of your own home. Do not take Repatha if you're allergic to it. Repatha can cause serious allergic reactions. Signs include trouble breathing or swallowing, or swelling of the face. Most common side effects include runny nose, sore throat, common cold symptoms, flu or flu-like symptoms, back pain, high blood sugar and redness, pain, or bruising at the injection site. Visit Repatha.com or call 1-844-REPATHA. Talk to your doctor today about Repatha.
This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Goli Nutrition. As someone who's used Goli for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to Goli.com, use promo code DLEW. That's Goli.com, use promo code DLEW. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lew podcast brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis. Before we get into this week's episode, I am recording this on a Wednesday evening. Today, the pro wrestling industry lost an absolute legend, in the business. The one and only Terry Funk from the old Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas. One of the most legitimate, tough guys ever to step foot in the ring. I've had the pleasure of knowing quite a few people that worked with Terry Funk, in the ring, and just some of the legendary stories, will never get old. And, my heart goes out to his family, especially his brother Dory. The first pair of brothers, believe it or not, to become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. That's a very, very true story. Terry will definitely be missed by a lot of his contemporaries, fans like myself, and everyone around the world. But this is a huge week for me. This Friday, Es Pasíon goes live. The song goes live at midnight, as a matter of fact, depending upon where you are in the world. August 25th, me and Angie Starrz bring our project out to the world. So the single will be out. The music video will be following after that, probably within a week or so. So stay tuned for that. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do at the end of this episode is I'm going to actually debut the song on this episode of the D-Lew podcast at the very end. So, listen to this episode and then listen to the song. And speaking of Es Pasíon, this week I have Angie Starrz on, in addition to one of the producers from the music video, Divine Fury, and we talk about really the origin of how we all met, how we were able to network, just everything that went into the project, some of the things that independent artists go through, and it's a lesson for any independent artist. I don't care if you're in the music business, or if you're in the wrestling business, or whatever it is. When you're on the come up, and you're on the grind, you have to stay the course, and that's exactly what we talk about in this episode. And let's not wait any longer. My interview with Divine Fury and Angie Starrz starts right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to have on this week's episode of the D-Lew podcast. As you guys know, Es Pasíon will be out tomorrow, August 25th. On all streaming platforms, and the music video is going to follow up soon after that.
But I have my tag team partner, Angie Starrz, and one of the producers of my music video, Divine Fury. And welcome again. Thank you guys for coming out to come out to the show. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, this journey actually goes back, man, about 4 years ago. Um, I wrote this song, you know, being inspired by another artist with the intent of, writing, recording it someday. What someday meant, I don't know. Now, mind you, 4 years ago was pre-pandemic. I did not anticipate the world legitimately stopping and, trying to do a hard
Right.
reset and that type of thing. Yeah, seriously. So,
Hmm.
in the process of it though, and before I started the D-Lou podcast, I'm still hosting it too, but I was hosting a podcast for radio pushers called We Build Different, and I met Angie Starrz, and her and I really really hit it off when we did the interview, and
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
And if you can talk a little bit about that, Angie, as far as that first time that we did meet, on We Build Different.
yeah, dude. First of all, it's been a great experience. Thank you for having me. Thank you for choosing me for this project. It's actually an amazing record. It's something that I enjoy doing. We met, yeah, radio pushers, a wonderful, wonderful family to have. I actually met a lot of people, a lot of artists, but I went on your show, right? You interviewed me. It was one of the best interviews, one of the most professional interviews I've had. And, you know, I showed interest in your music. I remember I said, I want to do an EDM track.
You did actually. Yeah, that's very very true.
And that was what kind of, inspired me to want to work with you. But I didn't know you was going to bring Es Pasíon to the table, that was like a huge surprise, but
Yeah.
it showed versatility. It showed how great you are as an artist, and the combination was just amazing. So I'm just happy to be here. Happy to promote this track, this record, and I'm looking forward to the results.
Yeah, and it was crazy because when we ended the conversation, you and I would check in with each other from time to time. When you had shows, whether I know you had a radio show in Orlando and you were going to do some things in New York City, and we were just checking in every now and then. We check in, and I think it may have been like November when I was just sitting on the couch and I'm just like, I want to do something different that no one's gonna ever expect from me. And it was this record that I had written, already done. And I pitched it to you, and you was like, okay, let's do it. And I had given you full reign of your verse. I said, I want you to, you do what you want to do. Because I felt as though that based off of the music that I heard from you, that I was very comfortable with what you were able to bring to the table and to create in the direction that we were both talking about.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much. I mean, it left me speechless, to be honest. You work so hard in this industry, and you meet so many bad apples. It's like sometimes you don't want to keep going, but then there's people like us that create and do the right thing by each other, and it just makes so much better music.
Yeah, and again, to your point, we both share those those bad apples. We talked about that offline, and just some of the similar experiences, we both had. And once we were able to kind of say, okay, we have something in common, which really shouldn't be a norm as far as how things are done sometimes in this industry. When you at least
Right.
find some like-minded people, and that's how it all comes to be. But after we kind of went in the direction of where we wanted to go, I because originally I wanted you to have 16 bars in the middle of the song, but I felt like I needed the public to hear Angie Starr's first on this record to give it the energy that it needed. And that was the most important thing to me, was making sure that you were highlighted first, because I wanted you to be the first. I wanted you to really be the face of this record. And I'm a music historian, and it goes back to growing up in the '90s, obviously, Bad Boy Records, with Puffy and Biggie, and a lot of the stuff, a lot of the records that they were putting out a lot, whether it was Total, whether it was 112, Biggie was always featured on those records to really give it
Right.
energy that it needed. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna take that approach. Angie has to start this song first.
Well, wow, to be compared to a song like Total or 112 or a Biggie, Biggie is one of my music idols, besides Missy Elliott for her great work ethic and just amazing music and music videos that she pulls out. Biggie was one of the lyricists that I admired because he was a storytelling artist.
Right.
And I like that. I like music that makes me see a movie, like a picture, while I'm listening. So I try to bring that to my music. So it's just great to do Es Pasíon because it's like a movie, And the video, I can't wait.
Right. And speaking of the video again, I have Divine Fury. And again, I want to thank you so much for for coming on too. So tell the people a
Thanks
little
for
bit
having me.
your background as far as how you got involved in, in the cinematic side of things in regards to producing, directing, and things of that nature.
Um, it all starts back with music. Being an artist, producing beats, not really having a direction of where your talent is going and just growing it led me to video. I, by mistake, was with a friend shooting a music video with a camcorder, and I liked being behind the camera. I liked what we did together, the entire process. I knew I wanted to be on that side of music,
Right.
taking artists' music and their visuals, even though they know how to put into stories. That instinct showed me, oh, this is how you do it. And from there, I just ran with it. I put every piece of energy I could into it, my own money, my own time, just like all artists do in the beginning. But the thing has been a love, a love for it. I had to fall in love with the will to want to do this. I knew my talent could only go so far, but I had to fall in with the will to want to do this over and over and create art with other artists, whether good or bad. I just knew I wanted to create. And then with time, I got to know to be a professional. Because after you're an amateur, you start being a professional. You start changing things. You go into your work ethic change. The people you do art with changes. You grow from that, and that's what's kind of pushed me into where I love now. I love, I got the title director from another director because your peers are the ones that give you the titles once they appreciate what you've done. And then over time, I fell into the norm of producing because producing kept me on putting the crew together, putting the artist together, putting the project together, and making sure that the project overall is produced for the artist and for whatever label or persons he may, have put this, the conglomerate of the music together with. If they're happy, I did my job. Even with failures, I love doing my job as far as producing is concerned. And that's why I'm where I am now. I love producing. Your song, specifically, Es Pasíon, how this came about through Angie, knew me during working with her. And through the video to me was like, hey, I got this person, Derrick Lewis. He's got this song. I met him on the podcast. I was like, oh, yeah, I've seen that. I heard that. That was dope. So while you guys were talking, I wanted to step in and say something. I was like, no, let's just wait till we talk because it's funny how everything happened so fastly with that. And here we are now, ready to go national with this song. The video is going to be everywhere for everybody to see on all platforms. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we're here and that we're moving forward.
Now, talk to me a little bit more about, like, as far as the educational aspect of it, as far as how you were able to learn, in all aspects of whether you're, directing, if you shoot all these shooting, because it definitely takes time in regards to getting the right shot, how the color comes in, all the right angles and everything. So where did you learn? Who did you learn from, and where did you learn from as well?
In the beginning, as being an amateur, there was no schooling at first. It was just what I had around me and my friends. Picked up a couple of books, cinematic books, and once I saw that how much I loved doing this, I put everything else down and took it seriously. Uh, Looked at schools, looked at courses, and the one that came in was the New York City Film PA's intern. You go in. This is a long time ago, 18 weeks now. It's like 8 weeks, maybe even shorter.
Okay.
Compared to then, this is, you're talking 2002, when I decided to really jump into the world of production and film. And I already knew I wanted to be an owner of a production company, but I wanted to know all aspects, the grip, the lighting, everything. So I had to start from the bottom in order to understand the whole industry. I kind of put the curriculum aside for a while and did all the physical work, because I felt that would make me more well-rounded at first, but you can't have one without the other. So I did go sign up to Full Sail, didn't graduate, but I got the basics of learning film and TV on how a college would teach you. And it was no different from what I learned on my own and there. It was just everything is more formal, there's paperwork involved, and there's a bill. How I learned it, uh, like like a Spielberg did, they went to a big college. After the fact, they already knew they had talent. It was just to get the door with business. So when you go to the colleges and all that, that gives you the business connections, which everyone knows this, and it's how you push through. And that's what I've learned. I learned to join those words, even though they didn't happen all at the same time or in the right uniform. It's kind of built itself up into this. And it's kind of almost like my work ethic came from studying someone I admire a lot, which is Spike Lee, and he was self-taught, and then he went to NYU and built from there. But he, in his film, in his early days, everything was self-taught. He was not doing what they taught him in class. He was writing stories the way he wanted to, the way he was shooting the way he wanted in his style. Uh, and that's what film is. That's what art is. You know, you have a canvas and you're going to paint the picture where you want. And you learn that over time. And commitment is what brings you to, elevates you to certain aspects. Like for this, you know, all of us coming together on this elevates us. And this song alone, our work ethic, what we've done, it shows what we love. Um, Pretty much that's where I'm at with that as far as how, you know, if you go from education to the passion of it, it's all interconnected, from how I developed myself down the line. It's a little jumbly all over the place, but it literally took me to formulate, to take something away. I love football, where I was going to get the time from, and put the 10,000 hours to be considered a professional. So it took years. It took 7 years to be exact to really grasp the scope of the entire film and TV business inside and out. But when you start to apply that to what you want to build, now you're on another journey. Because now it's either you're learning and doing it or learning as you go along. And that's how it was for me. I was learning as I went along. And
Wow.
yeah, that's where it
Incredible.
goes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So Angie, I'll bring you back on here. So getting back to the song itself. So when you and I decided that this is something that we were going to do, we know we you hooked me up with Classic Tunes. Shout out to Classic. I hope him and his wife and kids are doing well.
It's classic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So when you had introduced me to him, and we did the Zoom session thing, and he was on board like right away. So in your estimation, based off of like the idea that we had in regards to the record and then what he was able to do with it, you know, I guess, what was going through your mind once you heard everything in context, once Classic was able to get done what he was able to get done?
Great question.
What went through my mind was, you know, great records, you know, always have a story. Always have a story. And I believe this record, you know, came a long way. I was excited because it was made organically. And I love that. I love music that is made organically, that comes from the heart. So what went through my mind was, all positive thoughts. Like, let's put all this positive energy into this project, and be happy with all the great people that we were able to work with throughout the time that we created this wonderful, amazing track. So I was excited. To be honest, I was really excited. I couldn't stop listening to the song. I couldn't stop playing the song. I mean, my relatives that live with me, they all know the song by heart.
It's crazy you say that, because when I hear people actually sing the lyrics to something that I wrote, it's pretty surreal. It really, really is.
Yeah,
unreal.
It becomes real, and
yeah,
the energy that you get, the feedback and everything, it's like, it's all worth it. It's what we do it for, to make people happy and bring wonderful, music out that's positive, that uplifts, and it's just a great concept. I love it.
Indeed. So with Angie, with you, going back to as far as the origin of your career, and I wanted to, kind of take it back a little bit as far as my listeners are concerned. When was it that you decided that this was something you were gonna really take seriously as a career in regards to being, not only an artist but a songwriter? And what a lot of people are fully understand as you delve into Angie's catalog, she's an incredible songwriter. Like, I mean, truly, and this is no BS, and I'm not blowing smoke. This is just factual facts. Angie's such an amazing songwriter. So when did it all begin for you? Kind of how I was asking Fury as far as how it began for him getting into the creative side in regards to cinematic and everything. How did it begin for you in regards to songwriting and as far as being a recording artist?
As a young child, I always sang. I sang in church. I sang with my dad. So music is natural. It's a natural thing. It's in my blood. I have, cousins who are artists, are beat makers. One of my cousins is a pioneer in the reggaeton game. His name is Pico C. And, this is the talent that I grew up listening to. So songwriting was natural to me.
Right.
When did I decide for it to become a career? During COVID, when I lost, my neighborhood lost a pioneer itself. Rest in peace, Meg. Roberto Correa. I wrote a song called Goodbye for my father, my nephews that passed away, and for Meg. Just for people who passed away that we love and miss and that we're never going to say goodbye to.
Right.
When I recorded that, the emotional experience recording that song just changed something. It just changed something. And when I actually performed it in front of people, and the feedback that I received just changed my view on music. In my aspect, music that I'm making, not music in general, but the music that I'm making, and that impacted, what I was doing. And I was like, okay, this is something I should take serious. I should really push my songwriting, and let people hear how versatile I am. I can't just, I don't only hip hop. I don't only just rap. I can write R&B. I can write any type of music. But Goodbye was the one that died.
Wow. And a lot of times when I interview people, and I'm sure y'all have heard similar stories too. The pandemic, I felt, really was a game changer. Granted, a lot of people, lost their lives, and again, my heart goes out to anybody that lost anybody to COVID or anything like that. But people that may have been on the fence about getting into the creative space made that decision during COVID when we had a lot of time to ourselves, or people that may have already been in the creative space were able to find new ways to maneuver in this space and to be able to make it a lot more simplified rather than working harder, working smarter. So it's really good to hear stories about, people really kind of turning it around as far as saying, hey man, the pandemic kind of made me realize, hey, this is what you need to be doing. And I felt like it was a hard reset for everybody's life to kind of figure out, all right, what is my true passion? What's my true purpose? So
Yep.
I appreciate you being vulnerable and being open and honest about, your origin, as far as granted to how you started when you were very, very young, but you really activated it, really during COVID. So, and that's an incredible story. I'm glad you were able to share that with us. So, as we were moving forward into, and you both can chime in on this, when this is crazy because Angie basically introduced me to everybody. This is basically how it all comes down to. Angie introduced me to Classic. She introduced me to Surge. She introduced me to Edwin. She introduced me to Fury. You know what I mean? Sparks. Everybody else. So when we were making we were making the decision on this video, and I know I had pitched some stuff to you, Angie, in the beginning, and you said, I think my guy Fury, I think he's gonna do a great job. What were some of, and I guess Fury, you can go first.
Hmm.
What were you envisioning when we first talked about this record in regards to where we could go?
Um, she called me right away with the song. I think it was like two or three calls I got, and she sent me the song at the same time on WhatsApp. And I was like, I gotta pay attention to this. What's up? So she
Hmm.
sends me the song, and it was a rough copy. And I told her, I was like, I like the lyrically, but the mix is not there. I was like, I don't know. What are we trying to do? What are we doing here? And she's like, it's not even about the song. She's like, it's about the artist I'm working with. We're gonna fix that. She's like, working with Derrick right now, meeting him. I think what we did when we recorded this, it showed, like this is like what happened with Goodbye. When you just know that it's gonna be great.
Right,
And I
right.
was like, all right. I was like, no problem. Wasn't that long later, I got a mix that was a little better. I believe you're driven to New York, and you guys had he retouched it for you. I'm not sure how it went down, but I know he retouched it. I got back the mix, and I was like, oh, much better. I was like, wow. I was like, I like this. She was like, yeah, I'll get in contact with Derrick and talk about visuals. And I'm like, all right, send me the information. She sent me your information right away. By the time I got to you, I already had like 75 plays in on the song visually. Like I was already queuing up things.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I was already queuing up things. Ideas were flowing. And then once I got the basics of what you wanted, how you felt about the song, the ideas started to stick. The the
That's
passion,
so great about
the
that's so
progressive.
great about Fury.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with me with music, with someone that produced music, um, when songs get cleaned up right away, when people get back to you right away, it shows you, hey, this is important to me. So I pay attention. If it's coming from Angie or from any other artist that I know that we take each other's art seriously, I pay attention. I just
Right,
don't blow it up.
right, right,
Because
right.
not even if it's the visual feedback we got, I was going to give her something that could help you guys to move forward. This is who I am. Um, so from there, I was like, yo, let's just pitch these ideas to him and go from there. I went with them, and we spoke in the house for like almost 45 minutes over the phone, several conversations.
Yeah.
Um, and we had it a whole other place. Once they get to see where we finally shot this, it was not where we wanted it to be at. It was at a
Right.
totally different place, totally different, the same vibe, but it was just a totally different place. And, with luck and with perseverance, looking for my side job, which I do, which is bartending. Um, it fell into place. A place I worked at worked well. The visual fit better. This video changed and elevated so quickly. How other people, which Edwin, he's not here. Give a shout out to Edwin and EMC Productions. Um, him being friends with Surge was also a shout out to them. Uh, that form that came down the line. So this is what the universe was doing. Like, hey, I set you up with something that is it's going to put you in that white space you like to be as an artist, David. And that's what it did. The song just developed over time, rapidly, with dysfunctionality in certain areas, but it was healthy because it made us refine what we wanted. It kept us there. We were not, all three of us right here in this right now, we're not giving up on this period. Uh, and it just evolved. And that's what I loved about it. Every time I talk about it, I get kind of excited because it evolves to somewhere, and I love it. I love what I do. I love working with you guys on this. It's pretty cool.
This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. Yeah, to kind of chime in a little bit on that, I had a mixer that I had to go to, I think maybe the first part of June, and you and I ended up meeting like midday at a Dunkin' Donuts, and that meeting went about 2 hours, and we basically dissected so many different ideas to what we were trying to accomplish. Like we literally started from really from scratch as far as what do we want? How do we want the people to internalize this? What do we want? What do we want them to walk away with?
Yes.
And there were so many different answers because we're like, okay, but what about this? Oh, but what about that? What about this? So it was just
what about Coney Island? Like we were even in Coney Island at one point.
We talked about that. So it was like there were so many different directions that was going to affect the other. So we really had to kind of, and I mean this in the most complimentary way possible, scaled back a little bit. It was like, well, wait a minute, we could simplify this without really going over the top.
Right. Basic.
And I mean, and then once we realized, okay, the venue that we end up using, and then having having the players that we end up having there, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh wow, I get it now. So we walked away from that 2-hour meeting. Again, we were literally sitting in a Dunkin' Donuts in Lower Manhattan, just really helping putting all of this together. And then that's when he pitched me, about Serge and Edwin as far as how he's like, listen, we can shoot this video, whatever, fine. But if you really want it, if you want to take it to the next level as an artist, as creative, as someone that wants to take their brand to the next level, I think these are the people that you need to work with. And these are, and ladies and gentlemen, for any artists that are out there that sometimes you're on the fence about something or whatever, but if the stars are aligning the right way, just go with your gut. You know what I mean? Just go with your gut. And because at first I was just like, well, okay. And then once I got an introduction to them, I think a couple of weeks later, we all met in Jersey and we, grabbed some food, and we kind of knew okay, we're going to do this. And we just more or less, all right, when we're going to shoot this. So that was the beautiful part about, really getting all of this together. And and this is the not so glamorous part about the entertainment business, is because especially when you're independent and you're really dependent on each other and using each other's resources to make something magical happen. Because again, when you have record companies, there are $1 billion budgets, and they have unlimited resources to do things, and they can do it with the snap of a finger. So I get it, but I'm proud of the job everyone's contributions, to this. And my next topic is mainly when we were shooting this and when we got to the venue, and I just couldn't believe everything that was in place that we really didn't have to alter. Right. So Angie, when you first saw this venue, because I don't think Angie wasn't there for any of the walkthroughs. So no. Angie, when you got there, what was going through your mind in regards to this venue, and how did it all come to be?
Well, first of all, the venue was perfect. I had seen the pictures of it.
Right.
And I said,
shout out to Raina.
okay, looks good. Right.
Reina Venue, shout out to them.
Shout out to Reina New York City venue. Oh my
Yeah.
God. It was just perfect for the concept of the song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I felt like it went perfect with it because it was a romantic yet, you know, elegant area, and just the way they had it decorated.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited to see the place. I was so proud of, the production team. They were so professional and they made everything so comfortable and easy to do. I think it was one of my best shoots.
Yeah. Same here. Same here for me. As far as productions I've put together, this is by far one of my best that worked cohesively with everyone. And uh, also, it was a learning experience for me because I got to work with my mentor, Serge. So he does not know that, but I've learned so much from him and what he does and how he does things and how he works with artists and he pulls his productions together. Uh, which you all have experienced, this is what I wanted. When I told you about this in the Dunkin' Donuts, that moment was in my head. That's what was there. I was like, this is where you elevate yourself as an artist. Everyone, even the people that were visiting us, could not believe of how amazing this production was going. And we didn't even get to eat pizza. Halfway in, we were all like, wow,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
Shout out to
before
the
was,
extras. They
yes,
did
that's
such an
all the
amazing
extras.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when I got there, and I mean, shout out to my friend Lynn Chanel, who plays my love interest in this music video. And I had pitched her about it, and she was like, "Wait a minute, why, out of all the people, why are you choosing me?" And I flat out told her, I said, "Because I believe in you, and I really want you to be a part of this." And without hesitation, she totally agreed to do it, and I was, really, really proud of the job that she did. But I remember getting there, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a bit emotional. You know, I said at the end of the at my speech at the end of the shoot, it was my dad. My dad would have been 81 that day,
Yeah.
and he was also in the music industry, and I just felt his presence all day, rooting me, cheering me on, and it was just like it was a really good energy,
Mhm.
and us getting, next thing you know, I'm on the stair thing with the lights and we're shooting this thing. I'm like, we're really shooting this video now. Like all this stuff that we talked about in November, was coming to fruition that day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this is going to be so much fun. And then when I saw, I think the first couple of playbacks, I'm like, wow. I said, okay, this is
Yeah.
gonna be really good.
Yeah.
So again, kudos to the to the crew, everybody, the lighting
Yeah.
crew, everybody that had a hand in this. And I
Mhm.
mean, we had me and Angie had like what, 3 wardrobe changes, whatever it was. I mean, it
Yeah.
was
We were bougie that day. We were bougie.
Yeah.
a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But I
Yeah.
mean, but again, it's like having been on, having been acting for 13 years and having long days on set.
Yeah.
I remember Edwin, because I don't think Edwin knew I was an actor, and I told him, I said, dude, I said, there was a time I was on set for a TV show for 16 hours, and he looked at me, was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was a show called Royal Pains," and I may have to tell a story about that day on an episode, on a future episode, and yeah, I'm not going to go into that right now. But I was on set for 16 hours that day. So I mean, after that, it was just like anything else is just like a piece of cake. Just like, all right, just if it's 9 hours, okay, great. In which we did do 9 hours, but that 9 hours flew by so fast because everyone knew what they were
Mhm.
doing. We
Yeah.
had a shot list of things that we needed to do. All right, Derrick, we need you to change into this. And I think one of the things that you had sold me on Fury, and I'm so appreciative of it, that you
Mhm.
said, listen, man, you already have enough on your plate as it is. All we need you to do is just to be the recording artist for the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that just made it
Yeah.
so much simpler for me
Yeah.
because I was wearing
I
so
want.
many, so many
Mhm.
hats and everything else.
Yeah. What I tell artists after I work with them or after I work with them, what you felt when you wrote this song is what I want you to portray on camera. You should not be stressing nothing else.
Right.
To deliver that passion, to deliver that message on camera. We shouldn't be worried about lighting or people are eating enough or drinking or is everyone comfortable. You're there to deliver your art to the world visually, and that's what we show. It's to ease the tension, to ease the stress. So I said this would be a stress-free video shoot for you.
That's exactly what you said at Dunkin' Donuts,
You
because you
know,
said, like, look,
yeah.
He said, all you have to worry about is being a recording artist that day. That's all you have to worry about.
Angie already worked with me and Edwin doing Goodbye, so she already knew how we worked. You know, we worked very well together. So having him there, plus our mentor Serge there, this was not for us. This was in the driver's seat for us, because everyone that was there was friends and family that we knew, and we kind of knew how to work with each other. They understood, and it was just a wonderful day. You know, it was just a wonderful day. I don't get enough of it. That's why it's my profile picture on my Instagram and everywhere else.
Yeah,
it's a day of remembrance. You know, that stay away. When you were sitting there, I was like,
that was an epic shot.
Yeah, of course. Epic. Of course. That was Edwin took that picture on his phone, on his iPhone, and I was like, wow, that's magic right there. And he's like, right. You know, and that's even before we go to these edits, what what the audience is going to see later on. But what we see from behind the scenes, that is, for us artists, that's magic. You know, and that's why that picture is very significant for me, as it is right now, on the gram and everywhere else. I've been spreading that photo. So yeah, definitely a wonderful day.
Amazing. Sergio, big shout out to Sergio and Edwin.
Yep. Colorworks.
Working with them.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, like I said, August 25th, this record will be out, on all streaming platforms, whether it's, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, iHeartRadio. It's going to be everywhere. So as independent artists, what's the most important aspect of when we're releasing, projects and that type of thing? What's the most important thing as we promote this?
I believe campaigns, right? Marketing campaign, and just talking to the public, talking to the fans. Once it is released, we want to get feedback. We want to, I believe we should do that. We should ask people that are listening, people that are streaming it, and probably get people to give us feedback. Yeah,
that's important. From a music level and a visual level, there's so many ways, there's so many strategies, but I think nothing like the old-fashioned groundwork. Before the technology got here, we were putting music out,
right? And
we had to go the hand-to-hand combat, the door-to-door, the meeting of the minds, or however you want to call it. You have to have these meetings. You have to meet with the people that you want to grow with artists. We live in a day that's in the palm of your hand, and kids don't see it, people don't see it. So what I say for independent artists is that to use what you have to its maximum, all platforms. Also do the legwork, and you never stop learning. A strategy or something may not work for you, but somebody may come and give you the push, and hey, give that a second thought, and that's what you needed. And keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep creating. Never stop creating. Keep putting it out. It's just going to get better. We live in an infinite space, and as artists and as creatives, you have to keep creating. This is, from what I know, and for some of us professional that go in a professional or push to be in a professional space, as you know, your projects get longer, the days get longer, they get bigger. But you start working with people that have similar traits, similar ambitions. And it kind of gets a little easier, I tell all independent artists that, the stress that you have now, later on, you're going to be like, wow, that was nothing. That was actually, I learned something from this. That stress was nothing. It's just part of human life, but yeah. And as far as it goes to like pushing and the creative stuff and putting yourself out there, the best weapon I tell you is in your hand. Research it, put it out there, filter through it, and talk to like-minded people that can help you or help yourself along the way.
When I said this to somebody the other day, and it went off like a light bulb. When I say networking, I said, but the part of that word that's most important is work.
Yes.
And I think that when you put in the work in networking, utilizing those resources, that's the ultimate way you're gonna, to get to the next level. And I
Yeah.
had to learn that for my first two music projects that I've done. Obviously, being very green in the music industry 7 years ago when I put out my first record, I thought that, oh, it was just gonna be easy as me putting out a song on iTunes, Apple Music, or whichever other streaming platforms that are out there. And I had to learn the hard way is like, yo, that's maybe 5% of the work.
That's right.
The rest of it is hustle and bustle. And
That's
I
right.
learned that.
Yeah.
And and that's
Yeah.
why I tell people now, it's like, you can't just, okay, expect things to fall out of the sky and, expect, 100 million, streams in a day. Like that's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
And if you think that, you're in for a rude awakening.
Oh, you
And
are.
the key is that if you really love this industry, if you love this business, if you love what you do, take pride in what you do, then you're just gonna just keep going and moving forward. And then that's how people make it, is their
Keep doing.
persistence, perseverance, and patience. I call the three P's.
Agree.
Yeah.
Those are the
Yeah.
three
I
I
P's that
agree.
I
agree.
apply to my life. You
I
know what I mean?
agree. I'm right there with you with that.
A
That's,
100%.
yep. Yep. I think persistence, all those three P's are so important. That's part of everything we do. Even to the person that's not the creative, they have the same keys, the three P's, but they use them in different tributes compared to artists.
Right.
Artists, we are extremely critical of what we look at our art. We're extremely, even to ourselves. Most artists know that.
Hmm.
I torch myself all the time on how things could have went better, and these are things that you keep in as an artist. But when it comes down to it, you have to keep those three P's. You have to stay persistent. I said before, you got the will has to be better than the talent. This is something my grandmother used to tell us. Uh, you got to have the will, and you can do anything you want in the world. But if you don't have the will to do it, the will, the God-given will, and it's not going to happen for you. It's not going to happen. You're not going to go from fifth grade to eighth grade. You got to go through the steps. You got to have the will in order to want to go to the next level. Uh, and some have a longer road than others, but we all meet at the same place. You know.
Definitely. Now, before we
I
get
like
out of here,
that.
go ahead. Definitely. Now,
I like
before
that. I like that saying. We all meet at the same place. It's true.
It is.
definitely important. Now, before we get out of here, if you guys can give out, and I start with Angie first, if you can give out all of your social media where you guys can be found, but YouTube, Instagram, the app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X,
Mhm.
Threads, etc., etc. Where can you be found?
Myself, you can find me, Angie Starrz, STARRZ, on all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I just started my new domain, Hip Hop. So look out for that. Um, and yeah, you can find me on YouTube as Angie Starrz as well. Don't forget the double RZ.
All right. And what about you, Fury?
Yes, you can get me on all platforms. Director Divine Fury, aka David Patro Sierra. And from there, you'll see the companies I worked for: EMC Productions, SADL Media Group. But yeah, Director Divine Fury on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It's all the same all across.
All right. Well, again, I want to thank you both for again taking the time out, to break down the project known as Es Pasíon. And don't forget, August 25th, all platforms, and the music video to follow afterwards. Thank you guys so very much
Thank
for
you.
coming on, and I'm definitely appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for
I'll see
having
you
us.
all soon.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Loop podcast. Again, I want to thank Angie Starrz and Divine Fury for coming on to give us a little bit of behind the scenes of Es Pasíon in regards to the recording and, prepping for the music video, filming the music video, getting everyone casted, all the extras and the lighting, grip guys, camera guys, everyone that had a hand in this project. I want to publicly thank each and every one of them for really bringing my vision to life. You can get Es Pasíon, like I said, worldwide on all platforms, okay? All platforms you can get it. Was it Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, Deezer, iHeartRadio, you name it. The list goes on and on. There are a gazillion platforms out there that will have Es Pasíon. Think of the platform, and it's probably on there, so make sure you do that. I'm going to, like I said, play the song at the end of this episode in just a few short seconds, but I want to remind you all once again to hit up my store. As a matter of fact, I just dropped a new Es Pasíon t-shirt at shop.derricklewis.com. Make sure you go there. Follow me on all my social media at The Real DT Lew. Facebook is Derrick T. Lewis official page, okay? Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, okay, so you can get all brand new content every Thursday, obviously, when I do my interviews, and on occasion when there's some special events going on for pro wrestling, I'll be able to do some extra shows for that as well, and I'll be picking up the pace in regards to doing that. But again, I hope you all enjoy Es Pasíon as I bring it to you right now, and as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count. And without any further ado, here's the debut of my brand new single, Es Pasíon. Take care, guys.
Lleva la classic, the beat guru.
Es Pasíon. Es Pasíon. I see it in your eyes. You wanna dance the night away, looking from afar. You wanna dance the night away. Coming closer, the beat takes over. It's a passion over. Seen her looking for ya. Es Pasíon. Es Pasíon. Pasíon. Es Pasíon. La forma en que me haces el amor. Es Pasíon. Es Pasíon. La forma en que me haces sentir. Es Pasíon. Es Pasíon.
Tell me, Angie.
You got to lock it in, sweeten it, know how they keep it, dance the night away. Love that you seeking, and love is the best kept secret. Amigo que tú esperas, la noche no te espera. Cariño que te tiene bandolera. Bailemos por amor, lo mejor que desea. Lo mejor que desea es pasión.
Stare across the room as I watch you set the mood. I never saw someone as beautiful as you. All the thoughts that's in my head, making love all night, my bed. You and me, the candles lit, nothing unsaid. Ooh, I'm talking to you, baby. Ooh, you driving me so crazy. Ooh, I wanna make you mine, and girl, you are the reason why. Es Pasíon, la forma en que haces el amor. Es Pasíon, Pasíon, es Pasíon, la forma en que haces sentir. Es Pasíon, es Pasíon, oh, es Pasíon. Oh, baby, oh, yeah. Dancing on the floor, you never stop, you wanted more. You looked at me, you grabbed my hand and took control. I like the way your body moves, leaning in so close to you. You got me now, under your spell, dance the night away. Ooh, I'm talking to you, baby. Ooh, you driving me so crazy. Ooh, I wanna make you mine, and girl, you are the
This episode is brought to you by Paycor, the HR and payroll software made for leaders. It's never been harder to recruit, hire, and engage workers. That's why HR leaders and frontline managers depend on Paycor for all things people management, from onboarding and performance reviews to compensation and benefits. Learn more at paycor.com/leaders. That's PAYCOR.com/leaders.